you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code ATNIGHT to get 5% off your order. Hello, everyone. Welcome to V to Premium Transitions, the show where we show you how to take a deck in V and turn it into premium without too much effort. I'm Atlas. I'm your host for the show, but for today we have Horth. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing good. Not doing much lately, but happy to be here.
Yeah. Horth is a content creator who has the smoothest videos I have ever seen for
Oh,
deck
thank you,
profiles.
thank you.
Just it's like ASMR for a deck profile. It's amazing. Those will be in the description along with the deck logs at the end if you want to go see those, because I have never been more relaxed.
I would say Angel Feather right now is in a weird place. Like majority of the people have like the notion of Angel Feather right now in premium is just no Gize.
I realized I was like, I have to do every clan at some point. And then started looking up deck profiles, and then I found yours, and it was just like, oh my god, I got to stop fawning over this. Why don't we just get into the list here? So what does a V list kind of look like for the player?
All right, so the V list currently is pretty straightforward. It really just focuses on pretty much the no-seal archetype. The main how you say it? The main Vanguard that you want to write first is Love Sniper No-seal. The reason being is it can do two things. One, it can get you any card that you want from the damage straight to your hand. And two, you're able to superiorize any kind of no-seal from your hand at the cost of Soul Blast 1 and discarding 2 cards. The reason why it's great in V is because you can write it, you can superiorize into Holy Seraph No-seal, because potentially you're able to do a maximum of probably about 5-6 attacks.
That's pretty good for a Protect clan in V. And then Holy Seraph No-seal, that's the Stride in Premium, right?
Yes, it is the Grade 4 in Premium.
Okay, so for those who don't know, if you have the same name in main deck, and in G Zone, that's okay. It doesn't run into name things where you can only run 4 copies. So just keep that in mind.
All right. Next, besides the 2 Grade 3s, the main thing the deck needs you to do is to set up this card in your damage zone, which is Happy Bell No-seal. So to put it basically, for every copy that you have in the damage zone, your front row during your turn gets a 5k buff. So if you're coming from standard, imagine for every copy in the damage zone, you kind of have like a pseudo Persona Ride buff ability, if you think about it. You can have a max of 4, which means your front row will have a continuous plus 20k, which is pretty nice, especially with the multi-attacks that you're going to do with your Love Sniper and Holy Seraph. It's really, really nice, especially during the early game.
So you're curating your damage zone?
Yes.
Okay. So let's rescue check more. All right, I'm going to put these here and just leave them there.
Yeah, and the way you would do that is mainly using the Grade 2 No-seal. So by writing it or calling it from hand to the rearguard circle, you can Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Search your deck for any no-seal. So in this case, you would not, if you want to play aggressively, you can search for a Happy Bell No-seal and put it to the damage, and you can take a face down card from the damage and put it to your hand. So not only you can break even by calling it, you're able to curate your damage zone, which is also pretty good because it does say no-seal. So not only you're able to put Happy Bells into the damage, you're also able to fix your ride by getting your Grade 3s in damage. So since it is a no-seal, you can get yourself a Love Sniper no-seal or a Holy Seraph no-seal. And on top of that, let's just say you're fighting things like Dimension Police, notorious for having like huge numbers, right? You're also able to set yourself up early by getting a draw trigger perfect guard into your damage zone because it's also a no seal name. So
Nice.
yeah,
So this is a Protect 1 deck?
this is mainly a Protect 1 deck, yes.
Okay. All right.
It's a Protect 1 deck for two reasons. One, Protect 2 for this deck specifically isn't that great because it is kind of susceptible to like retires or any kind of board wipe. And two, Protect 1 also gives you another card in hand, which, although it's not really that worth it to do, it does give you another card for you to discard for your low sniper ability.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of gives you like a free +1 kind of for the cost of low sniper.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and next we have I would argue and to say it is the most important card for Angel Feather right now, which is Jafkel. This basically if you're from G, it basically does this thing called the rescue check, which is when you pay the cost, you're able to take a card from the damage zone, put it to hand, and you can reveal the top card of your deck, and you can activate any kind of triggers on it. So if
Take the damage, basically.
yeah, you
Just-
can. You can.
yeah.
You basically take a damage check. Yeah.
So you're like getting pseudo drive checks out of this, which also might explain the aside from no seal just being the name, it's still a draw trigger by doing that. So if
Yes.
you go, all right, damage check, bam, there's a no seal, I get a draw for that, give 10k somewhere, and then having your crit triggers be able to, if you're doing this in main phase or battle phase, you're putting crits on stuff.
Yes.
Even if that wasn't during your Vanguard's attack. So puts pressure out. I know this is like stuff I vaguely remember from like seeing Gabe from Nexus Store. He's out in the woods somewhere. I don't know where he is, but like he used to play Angel Feather. So I remember a lot of this just from playing against it. Yeah.
All right. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
The triggers are self-explanatory. 8 crits because you want to do more damage. Heal Guardians because it's really good for the early game, and draw triggers because it's no seal. If you're wondering why I'm not running crits, crit sentinels because I'm a Protect clan, it's because like you said, I prefer having draws to be in my damage instead of checking crits at the damage. Because once it's in the damage, I don't really have a way to put my triggers back into the deck. So, in retrospect, I prefer having draw triggers being checked during my rescue checks, so I can have an extra card in hand instead of wasting a crit. Even though I do extra damage, but if it's in damage, I won't really have the shield to back it up. So,
right. Why don't we take a look at what happens in premium? Because this gets pretty wacky, if I remember correctly, from Dakota kicking my ass over and over. So what's changed here?
I would say the deck has shifted from being a fully aggressive deck to more of a tempo kind of aggressive deck.
Okay.
You still have your early aggression with your Love Sniper and Holy Seraph. The same thing goes with your deck, your damage curation by putting your Happy Bells into the damage. But we have a few more things that we prefer having while you stride. So, for example, one of them is 8-Roid Lamido. Basically, when this unit boosts, if your Soul has a grade 3, you can counter blast 1, and for the attack that it's boosting, your opponent cannot call Sentinels from hand until at the end of battle. So I would say this is just your final turn kind of card, yeah.
Right. Or just playing against other Protect clans, you see the two markers in hand, you're like, all right, I am going to make 2 of the cards in your hand obsolete, maybe more. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Another card would be Black Connoisseur.
Okay.
Although the deck can fix your ride by using your grade 2 no cells to search your grade 3s and put them to damage, and you can
Yeah.
use Javkiel to put the hand. I prefer having the Black Connoisseur because of another reason. I would like to have my heal triggers a bit more often in my hand. Because it is premium, I would prefer to have my heals a bit earlier so I can not only use them early against decks that have an abundance of multi-attack or an abundance of crits early, but I would also want to use these as cost for my G-Guards, which we'll get into in a bit.
Okay.
And another addition would be Black Slice Harut. This is basically another attack extender for the deck. Besides having the Love Sniper and Holy Seraph in the main deck for your early turns, Black Slice Harut is your form of multi-attack during your stride turns. So, GB1, Counterblast 1, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, while it's boosted, you can check the top 2 cards and put one of them in the damage and the rest to the bottom. Choose a face-up card from your damage zone and you can call it to the rear guard. This card is good because 1, it calls, which means it can activate Javkiel. 2, it can also set you up for cards like Lamedo or Scaling Angel, so you can put another Happy Bell back into your damage, netting you not only another card to call for multi-attack, but more powerful your front row.
Mm-hmm. It's very weird. So like Amber clones in general, for a lot of clans, have really fallen off in usage, but for some, where a lot of your like power comes from making a board and not so much from multi-attacking, it seems like for clans like Gold's, Great Nature, this couple others, like they managed to stick around for a lot longer than the game wanted them to, and I find that pretty awesome. It's
it's pretty nice. Yeah,
like Crayon Tiger stuck around way longer than they wanted him to, and they never gave him a V version, and I think that was on purpose because they were like, well, you guys just move on from this. I'm like, give us something else that can give us multi-attack. And they're like, all right, Big Belly retrain. I'm like, that's not fine. Whatever. Not good enough. But if that's how you're going to be. So Harut kind of fulfills that same role where because you're a Protect clan, all of your attacks have to be calling out of damage zone in battle phase, or if I think it's very rare they have a thing that's like, all right, stand your dude, face up. Rescue checks with stand triggers notwithstanding, but
yeah. Speaking of stand triggers, we're actually running one, which is a Dr. Roy Refuros. I would prefer to run this at 4, but it's limited to 1 because the skill is actually really, really good.
It's loopable.
Yeah. Yeah, you basically counterblast 1 and you put it at the top of the deck. You choose any kind of cards in your damage, if it's face up or face down. You can shuffle it back into your deck, reveal the top 2 cards and put it into your damage zone face up, and then you draw a card. So if you use this right, not only you can put triggers back, but you can also have a free counter charge, and you have a recycle draw, which is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, back in the days where this was at 4, you would get your deck down real low, like with old rescue abilities and things like that. And then you would just loop this and be like, all right, I can do this literally forever. Just tell me when to stop. And you're like,
and not only that,
fine.
Yeah. And not only that, we also have another card called Nurse of Broken Heart. So for every card that you put into your damage, the Broken Heart itself and your Vanguard gains an additional 2k for every card put. So as long as you loop it as long as you want, you can get it, and you can get Nurse a Broken Heart and your Vanguard to a specific kind of number.
Mhm. Is there a reason why she hasn't shown up this particular time?
Nurse a Broken Heart?
Yeah.
It's because Broken Heart, in my opinion, is more of a defensive card,
Mhm.
and it also has GB1, so it doesn't really go live after until you stride.
Got
The
it.
deck itself wants to be able to do things a bit earlier. For example, the multi attack from the 2 grade 3s, and being able to set up your damage zone pretty early by your Happy Bell No Cells. That really just wants you to put as much aggression as you want in the early game. Whereas there's a Broken Heart, as soon as you can only do things as soon as you at the end of your stride, or as soon as you stride. Sorry, and by that point, the payoff isn't really that much, unless you have cards that can put uh, more cards into your damage zone during your opponent's battle phase.
Mhm. So
I would
makes sense.
say, yeah. So I would say the card is still okay in defensive decks, but it has really scaled really well lately.
I think like you said, it's just too slow. I think decks in premium better have a good turn 3, and that's actually what influenced my Grey Nature deck to change from the Zoa Rhino thing to something else. Which
Mhm.
we're recording this before BCS. I think it's going to release before too, so I don't want to give too much away, but it's something else than what it used to be. And then aside from Refros, I see you have the Cater Sanctuary Overtrigger as the other reason to run one less crit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if you look at the triggers, I'm running 6 crits and just 1 over trigger. Of course, that's just 1 over trigger.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
Ban it, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would prefer, if you think about it, I would prefer to run more crits, but we don't really have that much space. And you could say, well, I could run more Sentinel crits because it is a protect land, and I am able to set up no cells to the damage. But I prefer the perfect guards, especially in today's age. There's too many things that can kill you outright if you don't have any kind of perfect guards.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Stride crits, GB1 crits. You've seen this in other videos for this series. And then with the Overtrigger versus Ultima debate, I assume it's because you have not Excel circles, because every United Sanctuary except Gold Paladin is not Excel, and B, because it's less expensive, and C, because you can call stuff mid battle phase to then give drive checks, right?
Yes. Majority of the time, like I said, like I said before, the deck wants you to have an early aggression. So being able to play a protect line with multi attack just really allows you to bring out the full potential of the Cater Sanctuary Overtrigger. And but I would say the Cray Elemental Overtrigger is another option because of the type of multi attack that you have in this deck. You actually have 3 kinds: the early aggression with your V setup, your Black Slice Harut, and then another one with a stride, which is the grade 4 version of the Holy Seraph Nocil. So we can get into the strides now if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
What are we looking at?
So if you look at the G zone, it's pretty simple. Majority of the time, you would want to go into the new card, which is Holy Seraph Zafkiel. This card is a godsend right now for Angel Feather because it does a lot of things and in a variety of ways. I'll just read the skill. It's basically act once per turn. You discard a card from hand, and you choose 3 cards in total from your drop zone and circles other than Vanguard, and put them into your damage zone face up. All of your front row units gain 10,000 power until end of turn for each normal unit put, and the Vanguard itself gets +1 drive until end of turn for each trigger put. For each card you put, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it. So you basically take 3 cards in total from your bank So you take 3 cards in total from your circles and drop zone and put them into your damage. For every normally you get 10k, and for every trigger you get 1 drive. You can do a variation by putting 3 normal units into the damage, then you plus 30k to the front row. You can also put 3 triggers into the damage zone, getting you plus 3 drives, totaling you to a 6 drive swing.
Mhm.
You can also do a variation by putting 2 normal units in 1 trigger, 2 triggers, 1 normal unit. It
It's up to
just
you.
depends on the situation. Yeah.
So you get to fix your damage zone just a discard. It's all good.
Yeah, just a discard. Yeah. And the fact that you're able to heal the cards basically says, okay, yeah, you won't die after you use the skill.
Yeah, so for people thinking, well, won't you just die the second you get to 6? You have to finish the skill before the check is done. So,
Yes.
yeah. So when you go, all right, I have 3 damage, I put 3 in, all right, I'm at 6, but I then have to put 3 cards into drop zone, so you're back at 3.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind if someone at locals is like, but you should be dead. Not me. Yeah.
All right. Another reason why we really like this card is because it's actually a really, really good counter for like certain types of floodgate. You can. I did mention this in my video previously, but I'll just summarize it. Basically, you can choose lock cards and cradle cards and put them to your damage, and you will basically have free circles for you to work with, because the skill specifies circles, not units. So yes, you are able to put lock cards into your damage zone and cradle cards
Yes.
into your damage zone.
So this is like what Pale Moon had going for it, where it was like put 3 cards from your rear guard circles into soul, and then or put 2 in, call 3 out or whatever. Yeah, and then or you can just be like, all right, you made me guard with Happy Bell no seals early. I'm gonna put those back, and then fix it countercharges. It just does so much with such a simple effect. It looks like.
Yeah, and especially with no sale, it really helps out a lot, especially with like aggression or like farming. It helps a lot.
Good stuff.
All right, our secondary stride is the Grade 4 version of Holy Seraph No Sale. So a lot of people think that the card is actually okay. I personally think that the card is actually really good if you know how to use it and when to use it. Because the way that this card portrays multi-attack is by calling for the damage. So not only you're able to call things like Jafkiel, which activates its on place because it says on placed, not on placed from hand, which means it can be placed from anywhere and you can activate the skill. But this also has a timing where you can revive, quote unquote revive things that's about to die. So for example, the skill says at the end of the battle that this attack, you choose 2 rear guards and you put them to the damage zone face up. That's pretty important because Lamido says at the end of the battle, retire this unit. So if you think about it, before Lamido's timing of itself retires, you're able to use Holy Seraph No Cell and put it to the damage zone after you boost the Vanguard, and you can recall it again for another Sentinel breaking attack.
That's really funny. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. So like if you do that and then maybe make a new column with like your what's her face? Grade 2. Horth.
Horth. Yeah, Horth, yeah.
To set off another attack. That's really good. And this doesn't in terms of like calling things, you don't have to call face-up cards from damage zone. So this is a way of countercharging too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. This also, yeah, and the ceiling for this card is actually pretty good too, because let's just say you have like 2 Happy Bells in your hand, but at this point you have so much hand that, I know you have so little hand, but you have like rear guards in the front, but you want to put them into the damage zone because you know you can kill that turn.
Mhm.
Just call these two. Just call the 2 Happy Bells, attack with the Vanguard, put the Happy Bells in damage, and just call any 2 rear guards to boost, and you have another plus 10k, which is pretty good too. And I would another thing about this card is, if you think about it, the card is a really good no counterblast stride, because it doesn't specify needing a counterblast, and all you need is 2 rear guards. Just to commit to commit to like 5 attacks.
Mm-hmm. And no counterblast to do that. So like if your opponent tries to damage deny you, you just go, all right, I'll put those 2 in, get the same 2 out, bam.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Damage denial is kind of a big thing in the game right now. Like you have things like NLK Barrel Magnus running around where that's on the brain for a lot of people. So they might see Angel Feather and they think, well, they do stuff with the damage zone. Maybe I should just not give them damage. And then you go, okay, sure. So
yeah, but keep in mind, let's say even if you don't have damage, I would still highly recommend running Zafkel, because you want to farm for your next turn.
Right.
Just putting 3 triggers into your damage just nets you 6 cards in hand, which is really, really good.
Yeah, guarding with them early. Like Angel Feather seems to have a lot of options with like redoing stuff with the drop zone that a lot of decks might not have access to.
Yeah. We can move on to the next, right?
Yeah.
We'll start with this first. Holy Seraph Raphael. This one's pretty straightforward. It's basically GB2. You flip the same name from your G zone face up, and you basically heal a card.
Seems pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward. I would say it's not that. It's not, to be completely honest, it's not really that useful. But having a free heal on hand is actually pretty nice. But I would say if there's something better, aggressively, that we might get maybe on the next premium product, I would probably take this out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like a product of its time. For a long time, it was the "I'm losing" card, where like, yeah, I have 1 less damage, but this can make me not lose more. And then your opponent goes, okay, I'll just keep winning. And then
yeah.
I think like a better example would be Purple Hair Gal over here. I'm not sure if that's like can fulfill that role better.
I would say this. I would say the card is not for I'm losing purposes, but this is more of your final turn type of card, because
I know it's small for whatever reason. I zoomed in here. So GB3, when placed until the end of the fight, number of cards for you to lose becomes 7, and then if your G zone is 5 or more face-up cards when this is placed, it becomes 8 instead of 7. It should be noted that no CL and the first stride we saw don't flip anything, so you're stuck with G guards to get this number up.
Yeah, pretty much the whole deck besides like your G guards, just flip your G zone, which is a shame because this card is actually really really good.
That might have been on purpose, I think.
It might. I hope that's not the case for the next product because this card on GB3, it's pretty unique because this extends your damage zone. Not just to 7, but it also can put yourself up to 8 damage to lose, which is pretty nice. But I would say you don't really use it for that. You use it for its act skill, because this is actually really really funny because the cost is kind of plus 4. You rarely see that nowadays.
It's a big deal. Like, I think the last time I saw that was a left back in like Boomer Vanguard, back in like BTO2. It's a long time since I've seen Counterblast 4. Like this, it's kind of worth it though. Yeah.
So for Counterblast 4, until end of turn, your opponent will call cards. When your opponent will call cards from his or her hand to Guardian Circle, he or she must call the same number of cards in your damage zone. Wait, did I say that right?
Okay, so your opponent has to call the same number of cards from hand as the number of cards in your damage zone at the same time. So if you have 4 cards in damage zone, they got to drop 4 cards at once to guard for every attack. If you have 5, it's 5. If you have 2, it's 2. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
So this just absolutely shreds hands. This is what Dakota was using to kill me most of the time, because he'd be like, "I have 3 attacks, but this is I'm gonna. Do you have 12 cards in hand? No, then suck it." Like that's it.
Yeah, especially if you set it up correctly. Like, let's say if you're at like GB5, you strike into this. You're able to maybe call it like grade 3 Holy Seraphs, set yourself to 7 damage, and maybe have a Rephiros in hand so you can countercharge 1. And you, even though you have small pokes, all of them are swinging for. All right, I'm swinging for 7 cards from hand. You want to guard or not? It's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's the thing with like X number of door skills. You want to like get as close to the line as you can, because then it makes it that much more painful. If you're hitting for like 40 and it's like 2 or more cards to guard, you're like, well, I got to do that anyway, so it just doesn't hurt quite as much. I think it's very hard to do. Like, Bushiroad makes this mistake where they'll release, okay, this is for the turn. Every attack, that means every single effect that gets you another attack makes that effect more deadly. So, like, that's kind of why Steam Maidens are a big deal in V Premium right now, is because of that frickin' piano. And I feel like this might be the thing that makes Angel Feather good in the future. The second you get like a more consistent multi-attack engine, the second this takes you to number 1. Am I missing anything? Or
no, I think you pretty much hit the mark on that. I think that's it for strides. We can move to the G guards.
Yeah.
We'll start with the most simplest one, which is Holy Seraph Surya. Imagine this as a Jafkel, but instead you can use it on your opponent's battle phase, and you can also check the top card of your deck, like Oracle Think Tank, and you can either put it at the top or bottom. So this does 2 things. One, it lets you check if you can check. This sets you up for a trigger if you see it or not, or this allows you to set up your damage zone on normal units that you might want to put back to hand later.
So real simple but effective. Yeah.
Next would be Black Seraph Alaleth.
Okay.
This is pretty much our biggest shield, and it's also our only G flipping G guard.
Mm-hmm.
So the more damage you have face up, it is face up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The more damage you have face up, the more shield it gets.
So the max you can get is like what, plus 30k shield? Am I doing that right?
I
So
would say
if you have 6 face up cards and damage.
if you have 6, plus 30. If you have 7, plus 35.
Yeah, that's pretty pie in the sky dreams there, but.
And then the last one, which is the most recent one, Firmament Grants, which is another really heavy cost, which is Counterblast 3 and Soul Blast 1. But the payoff is really good because you can choose a card, any card, face up or face down from your damage zone, and call it the Guardian Circle. So not only this heals you, but this also allows you to call cards like a Perfect Guard or cards that have a really big shield into your damage zone. Into your Guardian Circle.
So you heal one off because of that.
Yes.
So pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's pretty effective.
And then I guess the last thing here: how expensive is this deck at the time of recording this?
Okay. That's a bit of a weird question for me because I personally play in the JP format. But
okay.
I've heard from friends that the deck is really it's about relative. Sorry, the deck is relatively cheap to build, especially since No Cell as an archetype by itself is a really cheap V deck. I've heard not only in JP but in English as well.
Okay.
I would say the only expensive cards would be things like the Strides.
Okay.
At the very most, and maybe Black Slice Harut.
Yeah, that's an older card that you can't really get easily nowadays. Try and see if you have a friend who's like, yeah, I played G. I think I have a box in my closet somewhere. Like, try and track that guy down.
Yeah. If I think one advice I would say, if you are planning on building this deck, I would say get the triggers first because that's the most important, and then go for the no sell cards, and then go for your strides.
Right.
Because at least you're able to make a main deck, and also you can play in V, and then you can buy the strides later.
Yeah. Hopefully the person watching this is like, I have this in V. Do I make it in premium? Like the things you really have to get are the Haruts and then your strides and Cater Sanctuary OT and Doctorate Refros, which is a one of. So
yeah,
not really super important. Thanks everybody for watching this. Horth, thanks for coming on. I will have both the deck logs and your channel in the description to check out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Is there any other thing you want to plug before we head out here?
You can check my Twitter at God, I forgot my Twitter.
The rapidly decaying Twitter.
Yeah, you can check in the description box below for my Twitter.
Okay.
I rarely post there, but when I post, it's pretty much just shit posts and just memes.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.